exact issue that I'm having, at least. And they say they've got a solve for it, although the short version indicates like going into your registry and disabling a whole bunch of programs, so it's not exactly like entry-level computer stuff, but I'm going to read through it after we're done streaming.
Okay.
Cool. All right, we should be good. So I need to double check something because actually after we get done recording, because the last few episodes we've recorded, they've looked really dark for some reason, and I'm not sure if that's through the recording, if it's through lighting, or if it's the way YouTube is doing its thing. I'm not quite sure. Because right now, we all look like we're pretty good. We got some pretty good lighting situations going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super lit up, but I'm visible.
Right. So I'm going to give this a try. And if not, I may need to go fiddle around some settings in YouTube and OBS and shit.
And now I ruined it. There we
go. Cool. I'm ready. You guys ready?
Good to go.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 43 of the Secret Caliber podcast. Once again, my name is Mo. With me, I have Corey.
Yo.
And I got Derek.
Hi, folks.
How have you guys been doing in the past? Was it been a week and a half since we last recorded? Has it been 2 weeks? We recorded on a weird day last time.
No, you just weren't available, so...
Oh, that's right, that's right.
7 days to die.
Corey and
we died.
Yes. But we accomplished shit. We did. That should be a lot less fail-tastic and more just... Well, it'll be pretty fail-tastic, but it'll be a lot less boring.
So... started on the mountain, moved into the military base. After living in the military base, we decided to go looking around, and we found a house, and we're like, ooh, let's hang out in the house then. So then we moved our shit to the house.
The house is
and
solid.
Then we started exploring, and we found a gas station and a plane that crashed, or was crashing.
Yeah, we watched a plane crash out of the sky.
Oh, really?
Like into the horizon. So we don't know where it is. We just saw where it went down. You can see smoke coming up. So.
Right. Huh.
We got distracted by the gas station, though, and not achieving that goal.
Yeah, there were fat zombies, and they took way too many hits to kill.
Yeah,
we sat there and clobbered them like that fucking Shaun of the Dead, like...
Oh, yeah.
Just
didn't do anything.
Yeah.
No, we need actual weapons to fight the fat zombies.
Hmm.
But, it'll be fun. I'm sure the next time we play.
Yes. We have walls now. Like, military base surrounded by landmines is good, but the walls don't kill me more often than the zombies.
That's your own damn fault.
I'm exploring, okay?
Okay.
I'm mapping that minefield.
I died once to zombies eating our faces, but I've died to starvation twice now.
True.
I've just lived long enough to die twice. Can't win. I know you've died of hypothermia, which is also
wait. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, drowned on land. I can only guess it had something to do with hypothermia.
I am assuming, like, I'm gonna give the game a benefit of the doubt and assume it wasn't just like fucking out of its shit and I died of hypothermia instead of drowning on the land. It made drowning noises, so I was confused.
Whenever that little wet symbol comes up, it also happens during rain. So it's like the same mechanic, but also for jumping in water. So I'm thinking it's hypothermia, but then you think it'd be like a little snowflake symbol, not a little water droplet.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's just me. That's what I think when I think of hypothermia.
I still don't know if wet going up or down is good or bad, because I jump in a lake and it's like, you're at 47% wet. And I'm like, is that going up or down? And is that good or bad? Like, how? Am I
It's
40% wet?
47% good, probably.
I don't know, like, am I 40% wet or 40% dry? You
Yeah.
gotta clear this shit up for me.
Oh man. So Eric went off to his lake cabin because he quit it. He got a new job, so he had some days off between when he ended and when he started the next one. So he went off to his lake cabin to go fish and stuff. Unfortunately, I still had to work. So I spent a lot of my time playing Factorio, and they have their stable version is 0.14, their experimental version is 0.15, and they fixed a lot of things in the game that I did not like about it, and it's actually to a point where I would say, okay, now you should probably play the game. Um, it's still in early access, but it's still really good. The short version for those who are new to the podcast or haven't heard of it before, the premise of the game is you're some random dude who crash lands on some random planet, and you have to get off, and you had to build the rocket ship to get off.
Oh,
Except,
Pikmin. Okay.
sure.
Nope.
Uh,
It's like Pikmin, except
except,
like how cute Pikmin is. It's that much ugly.
Oh.
yeah.
It's basically ugly Pikmin with no Pikmin.
I feel like it's a Dr. Robotnik simulator. From what I've seen. Like, it's
You're,
that'd be
you're,
pretty
you're not too
accurate.
terribly off, yeah. So,
Not to like mine. It's ugly Pikmin without Pikmin.
so the premise of the game, imagine it as like a giant crafting simulator. So there used to be four types of science, and like one science would need iron gear wheels and copper wires. So you say, okay, I'm going to grab the ingredients together and create a little factory that automates building or making this science so I can then research down the research tree, right? You get to the next science. The next science is like, oh, I need like grabbers and tracks, for
Conveyor
example,
belts.
conveyor belts. And so those need
Ew.
their own separate ingredients that may share things from the first one, and so everything kind of stacks upon one another. It used to be there were four kinds of science. Three of them you can automate, but the fourth one you had to go kill aliens, which was super weird. So, by the way, there are aliens on the planet, and if your pollution gets to them, they start attacking your base. Um,
Okay.
but the end game was gated by how much of the alien science you can get, which required killing aliens, which was totally not the point of the first three-fourths of the game. So that was one problem.
It's also weird because to me, like the mechanics sort of indicated you were trying to keep your pollution under control, so you didn't have to interact with the aliens.
Yeah.
But it turns out you have to interact with the aliens. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, well, fuck it, let's just pollute, and they'll come to me.
Exactly.
Can you automate, like, defenses?
Yeah, you can automate turrets and weapons and armor and all that jazz. So
Yeah. So,
But-
so basically, pollution's a good thing, not a bad thing, apparently.
yeah, so one of the problems was there's an entire tree dedicated to combat, but combat is not necessary for three-fourths of the game. It's only necessary for that last fourth, so there's no need to automate it until you get to that point. They fixed that. I'll get to that in a minute. The second problem was there's a huge spike in difficulty from Science 2 to Science 3, because Science 1 requires like 2 items. Science 2 requires a bit more complicated things, but it's within reason. Science 3 requires you to do an entire oil production, which introduces light oil, heavy oil, oil cracking. It introduces other things. You need to make plastics, so you need an entire separate factory system to even make it. And so that was a humongous like wall to other people, where it's like, well, fuck, where's the curve at? This is a cliff at this point. So what they've done is they've went from 4 science packs to 7 science packs. You no longer need alien science. That's completely erased from the game. So you don't ever need to interact with aliens until they attack you. So that's like, okay, cool. They've evened the curve between Science Pack 2 and Science Pack 3. They've rearranged some of the requirements for that, so that curve is a bit easier. And the additional science packs they added, I believe, are research, military, and one more I can't remember. So now there's a reason to make military. There's a reason to make guns and ammo and stuff. There's a reason to research other things like solar power and things like that. and there's nuclear power as well. So there's a reason to research these other things. Um, so they've really evened out the curve from the mid game to the end game. So that's really really cool. Um, I was reading the developer comments, and there's something interesting he said that I never really caught on. And I don't know if I'm just dumb or if the game isn't very blatant in how this is supposed to go. And so, one of the main reasons they rearranged some things on the tech tree and how to make the science, they were saying, well, okay, there's Science Pack 3. And Science Pack 3, A, it's really hard, but B, you're we're requiring you to mass produce items you would never use otherwise. And the entire point of the science packs is to say, hey, you need to automate. We need grabbers and track belts, and so we need you to automate that. And so what the player's supposed to do is, oh, the assumption is the player is supposed to already mass produce that item. So then just requiring them to combine those two items should be easier. And that part I never got because in the beginning of the game, the majority of things you can make by hand, and all it requires is time. Like I need 100 grabbers. Okay, that'll take 2 minutes. I'll go do other things. It didn't really dawn on me to automate the early game things because the time requirement wasn't an issue at that point, and the ingredients weren't an issue either. And so when he mentioned that science packs are meant to teach the player that they should probably be automating this item, that's when a light bulb went off, and I was like, "Oh, I've been doing this entire thing wrong." And once you get that point, you start to see that, oh, well, now this item and this item and this item, all the things that are required for science packs, they share a common item or two. So you think, okay, let me mass produce these things and then feed them in. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I've been creating these factories fucking stupid for the past year. Now I get how the game is supposed to go. And that was like, oh, now I get what the game is trying to teach you. Like I said, I don't know if it was just bad in explaining that or if I just was too dumb and didn't quite catch on to that point. Because the later, like when you get to plastics and batteries, that's really obvious. Like, okay, you need to mass produce these because you need a bajillion items that's going to take you a million years. So do that. And so once I realized that, I was like, okay, now I get how the game is played. Now I
Yeah.
understand. Um, and I also started thinking of the game like a roguelike in a way because I've replayed the game a, at least 20 different times. Right, get to a point and then I realize my factory, okay, I'm not doing something right. So let me scrap it and do it again. So then I get a little bit further and say, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And I scrap the entire thing, but then get a little bit further and say, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And so it's that constant repetition that I can get to like Science Pack 2 or 3 in a couple of hours now instead of a couple of days.
hmm I wonder though how much of that is like what you are allowed to do, like what freedom you have to move through this tech tree, and how much of it is just learning optimization. Because I recognize whenever I played Cityscapes,
City Skylines?
These guidelines.
City Skylines.
Yeah.
Gosh, City Skylines. Like the first 5 towns you make, you're like, oh, this is gonna be fun, and then an hour, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna start over. And then you make the next one, and then 2 hours, and you're like, oh, and then you make another one, and then you're like sitting there 2.5 hours, and like, and then shit happens, and you're like, oh, and it just keeps happening. And then by the time I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this town on this one, I'm just starting out like, okay, I'm going to make this little subdivision over here. This is going to be this square here because later on I'm going to have to take this over here and this is going to be the pollution zone. And like, I've got 5 people moving into my town and I can already see where I'm going to put a nuclear power plant in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, how much of it is you can jump into this game and go through this section and through this section, and how much of it is I've played this enough to know I need to do this, and this, and then we'll be done, and that's it.
It's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, because well, the tech tree used to be a lot more lenient in what you can do, and that's something else they changed in 0.15. Because in 0.14, you can get, it was really easy to get robots, and robots can carry things from chest to chest. You can set up this giant logistical system and totally circumvent the belt system, which is what they didn't want to do, because once you get robots, why would you ever need belts at that point? And so the problem was it was so easy to get to robots that no one made belts, so then no one mass produced belts until they actually had to. So now they bumped that logic system way deep into the tree to force people into doing other things. So the tree is a bit strict on what you can do, but I think that's what's needed to make it optimal way further down the line. Um, but yeah, it's the same thing happened in, like what you were saying, in City Skylines. I was the worst at making like my power system because it's a bit more convoluted in what's actually going on. So I build this power system and never have enough power. I'm like, well, fuck, fine. Let me redo it again. Let me use less things. And it's like, well, now everything's jammed up because there's not enough things. Well, fuck, let me redo it again. And then you finally learn the ratio of like boilers to water to steam. And it's like, okay, this is done. Now when I redo it again, it takes me 10 minutes to get my power done and not an hour. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's other things you're like, okay, I know what blue science needs. I know what red science needs. Okay, I already know that flow. Like right now, I'm into oil and plastics and batteries and microchips, things like that. Like up to that point, I can pretty much do it blindfolded. But after that, you get to like uranium. Uranium is new. You can make nuclear power plants now. You need to mass produce solar panels, which you've never had to do before, but they were like, fuck you, you need solar panels for your rocket now. So it's like, well, crap. I need to learn how to do that now. Um, and one of the major things is that the first two-thirds of the game kind of teach you how to automate and become optimal. And the last third of the game, like, really tests you on how optimal you can be. It's like, oh, you only need like 10 of this and 10 of this. And at the end, it's like, no, you need 1,000 of this. You need 2,500 of this. And you better have your shit straight and be as optimal as possible, or this rocket's going to take you fucking 5 years to make. And so that's kind of like the end boss, is how efficient can you make it.
I'm not sure how I feel about the that style of design, kind of the parallel between City Skylines and Factorio and plenty of other games, where it's almost like you're expected to go in, play for a while until you just fall over and can't play anymore, and go, oh, that's what I did wrong, and then start over and try again and continue, like, just kind of like seeing how far you can get before you die, and then going again. Like, it's fine for folks who are used to that kind of thing and understand that that's what they're doing, at least subconsciously. But a new player who hasn't played other games that have done that to them over and over again, and for some reasons, probably Stockholm syndrome, they've stuck with it anyway. To basically be conditioned into appreciating that in some way. Yeah. Like, I feel like a new player would just be like, yeah, fuck this game. I played for like 2 hours, and then everything I've done, I suddenly realize is shit.
Well, there is a tutorial that I, of course, skipped because I was like, I don't need fucking tutorials. So there's that. But the other thing is like the way the game is structured, once you fuck up, it's easier to just reset than it is to try to fix the fuck up once you understand what you did wrong. And I don't think that's necessarily the game's fault. I mean, that's just trial and error at that point.
Well, it is the game's fault, though, because it's designed to be like trial and error is basically built into the system. You're expected to go forward for a while and then just fall over and die and be like, oh, that's what I didn't do. Let's do it all again, but do that thing. Like, a lot of people would just be like, what the fuck? I did all this, and now I suddenly realize everything is shit.
Yeah, I guess.
Fuck it. I'm not playing this anymore.
I guess.
Like, they would just get really fucking frustrated with that.
I see that point, and I think the point with Factorio is that those points occurred. There were bigger time frames between when that happened. Like, the biggest problem they had was from the beginning to the third science pack. That's where people would get to. But that third science pack was such a, like, slap to the face and such a humongous fall that people can restart over and over again. So there are, so that was the first point. And since they've kind of
to me, if you go for the further you go before you get knocked down, the worse it is to me, because there are certain games where I will do this with, especially if the game kind of works me into it, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm expected to do. But I kind of hate redoing stuff, just in general.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's really unappealing to me. And I can see other folks who haven't been basically conditioned, like I have, by possibly questionable game design of of decades past, to just accept these things, i.e. Stockholm Syndrome, and just be like, fuck that, I played 4 hours into this, and now you're telling me I didn't do a thing I needed to do, and I'm stuck. Screw this game. I am done. I can see that being really common for folks.
How would you...
frankly, I think it's probably a more rational opinion to have, too.
How would you change it so that didn't happen?
You just have to make the cost of undoing better than the cost of restarting. If you could make it possible to say, okay, pause, stop, okay, this whole section is fucked up, let's redo this and build it properly. Or if it is something fundamental from start to scratch, you should be able to just revert all of your resources into basic materials and start from there. I mean, I don't know how the currency of it works, but I would imagine that it should be okay to just take what you have and redo it how you want to with the resources available or less.
Yeah, you don't have, there's no, once you create something, there's no loss. You can pick something up. If you create something, you can pick it up and replace it. There's no additional cost outside of time to redo a factory you have or a particular loop that you have.
You just turn the thing you made into all of the resources you used to make it? Although I suppose resources aren't really as big of a deal in Factorio,
right? But you don't lose any resources if you have to lift something, and then there's no resource loss by replacing something. If you want to move this factory from here to here, right? You can move stuff around.
Because you can basically put the factory in your pocket and then put it somewhere else. But this part of that, and part of the okay, we're gonna stop having everything be powered by coal and have all of our stuff be powered by electricity now. So you just rip up all the coal powered stuff and build new things to replace them. And in the game, the cost isn't that big of a deal. I haven't gotten later, but I imagine by the time you're doing that, the cost of the previous tier isn't that big of a deal to you at your stage, to where you care all that much. But I think it just it would just feel better from a player perspective to be able to at least somewhat efficiently cannibalize your previous tier into the next tier. I'm going to take this, I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to turn it into something else. And it would also do what Corey was saying. It would mitigate the cost of redos. Because you'd be like, oh shit, I built all this stuff and now it's totally fucked. Well, at least I can get back 2/3 of the resources by ripping it down and turning it into something else.
I see, I got you.
And have the game be built that way, where you take your, you don't I don't like where this kind of expands beyond just resource management stuff and games like crafting games into other stuff where you're stuck in a decision. You make this decision, and whether you like it or not, that thing is gone forever. If you decide oh, I didn't want it there, destroy it, get a new one, and put it where you want it to be. Or even if you're oh, I'm going to put this here. Oops, I just found a slightly better version. But I have to destroy that thing to replace it, and that would basically totally waste the thing I just put there. So I kind of don't want to upgrade it. Just that sort of mechanic, and it's in a lot of things. It scales from bind on equip gear to where once it's bound, it's worthless. So you might as well destroy it when you want to equip it. To things like gems in Diablo 2. You put a gem in something, it's in there forever. So don't put a gem in unless you want it in there. And you basically, and the fact you can upgrade gems by combining them together, you never want to use any gem that isn't perfect for that reason. It's don't do that, you're wasting it. If you use any non-perfect gem, it's wasted. Like
Yeah.
it's just that feeling because it's not as good as it could be. So I just sit there with an inventory full of gems and no gems in my equipment for like the first difficulty and a
Yeah.
half, and then it's like now I get to have gems. Like it's just a bad mechanic. Like
Same thing
you're
with the
telling
rune.
me not to do. Yes, exactly. The runes too. You're like, don't use runes. You can rune word that. Don't waste that in anything less than a 6-slot weapon. Like it's like,
Yeah.
but
So
I
you
want to
never end up
have
seeing
something.
anything.
Yeah, like I get so excited about gems that I'm like, yay! I get to stare at this in my inventory until I have 36, 35 more, and I can turn them all into a perfect gem, and then I can equip it in 27 levels. Like, it's just, I just hate that shit. Like,
Mhm.
let me pull the gem out. Like, the exact same mechanic as how gems work in Diablo 2. Change nothing, but let me take gems out of things.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pay a cost to remove a gem. So it's
Still,
not
like-
just willy-nilly,
Yeah, that's
too
what
casual.
they do in Diablo 3.
Torchlight.
Yeah.
You get socketed armor and weapons in Torchlight. You could put gems into it. After it's been socketed in, you can later either decide to salvage the gem or salvage the armor. Basically, destroy one and keep the other. I think that's a fair enough trade-off.
Trade-off. You get to upgrade one or the other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're either
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a much better gem. I'll get rid of the gem and keep the armor and put that on there. Or, oh, this armor's useless, but I want to keep these gems and throw it on the new one. There we go.
Yeah.
That's also the thing. Like when the gem is stuck in that piece of gear, you're like, well, I can't use this gem until it's perfect, and until I have a piece of gear I'm never going to replace ever.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I am
Double whammy.
wasting that. Like, it's so terrible. Like,
Yeah.
Weirdly, one design mechanic that Summoner's War did well. That's the way they do their runes. I won't go into the mechanics of it, but monsters have base stats, and they have 6 rune slots, and the runes will upgrade their stats, and when you get to end game, your runes are, like, almost tripling your important stats. So runes are a big deal. And you put a whole shitload of resources into powering them up. Think like perfect gems in Diablo 2, or even, probably more accurately, think rune words in Diablo 2 when you get to high-end gems. You can put gems in, or put runes on your monster, but you can take them off, but you have to pay a bunch of resources to remove them.
Mm-hmm.
And the higher tier the rune is, the more it costs to pull out. But it's not permanent. You could just be like, oh, well, it's worth spending the resources to get this off and put it on that monster who needs it. To soften that, and I think it works really well, the first Saturday of every month is free rune removal day, where you can remove all
That's
rune
cool.
all day long. Free. So like the first Saturday of every month, everyone's like, all right, redoing all of my runes. And then everyone goes to Summoner War. It goes to Swap, which is Summoner War optimization. It's a rune optimizing program that someone with a lot of time on their hands, who I would probably just give a complimentary blowjob, made, where you can download for the one person out there who's listening to this who may or may not who actually plays Summoner's War and may not have actually heard of Rune Optimizer, the Summoner's Optimizer. It's awesome. It makes the game like 30% more interesting to me, because you can just, instead of just sitting there like, well, this one, because runes have like 5 or 6 stats on them, and you're like, well, but that's a little bit better, but kind of, is which one should I? And this one, just you run a basically you connect your game through your computer through a proxy, and it'll just like copy all the info the server is sending to your phone. So it basically just makes a copy of your game file. And it's like, okay, I've got this file that has all of your monsters, all their stats, and all the runes that you currently own in it. And you import that into this web browser-based program, and it'll then be like, you just be like, I want this monster to have as much damage, crit rate, and crit damage as possible, and give me at least this much speed. And it'd be like, here's the best runes. And you'll go through the 430 runes that I own, each of which have like 3 to 6 stats on them, and like, and here you go. If you want slightly more speed, use this one instead. Like, it's amazing.
Nice.
So good. But yeah.
Which, someone should just hire him and put him on there and give him a little thing and be like, here's a handy tool that we integrated into our game to help you build your character. You probably just like fluff it up with the marketing department and have like nice icons on it and just be like, build for speed, build for tank.
Throw some giant-eyed anime girls who can be like the NPC who is the interface and make billions of dollars.
Yeah,
because that's what they do with everything. Every time they add a new system or a new quest line, it's like, and here's the anime girl who's going to tell you about it. It's like, there are so many times when I'm like, this fan made this thing that is twice as good as the best thing in your actual interface. Why aren't you paying them? And there's never an answer. It happens so often.
Anyway. But yeah, Factorio 0.15. It's an experimental build. If you don't mind restarting a few times, and if you like that kind of not base building, SimCity like itness to it, I definitely think you should get it. It's like $20 on Steam. It may be even cheaper.
If you play Minecraft or Terraria or any of the billions of clones, and you play the entire game like at least 95% of the game at your base, crafting some giant thing, that's your game.
Yeah.
It's all that where you don't have to go explore. Yeah. You just craft everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds like the exact opposite of what I do in Minecraft.
Whenever Mo had to play it with him and a group of folks, him and Eric and who was else?
Gear was with us.
Gear was with us. Yes, it was you and me and Eric and Gear. And first time I ever played Factorio, and I was mostly just following what Mo and I was only following what Mo said, and then after I realized that Eric was way better at the game, I started following what Eric said. And, but as I described it to Mo, it's like, well, this seems kind of cool. It's basically all the stuff I start doing and then never finish in every survival game I've ever played.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to make this roller coaster. No.
That's enough.
Yeah. You gotta go find like 10 more pounds of iron so that you can make one piece of track. All right.
Even if I was like dedicated enough to go do that, in the process of finding a quarter of the shit I needed to make that, I'd find so much other crazy awesome things to go climb or explore or fall off of and get killed by.
Yeah.
Like, there'd be way more things going on out there.
Yeah. I have a certain affinity to like games that play themselves, like SimCity, City Skylines, and this game falls right into that.
You can't be trusted to play them.
This game falls right into that.
Like one step away from auto-clicker.
Yeah, do you
No, I don't play auto-clickers, no.
I was like, no, I don't play that shit. I play these games that are almost an auto-clicker.
Almost an auto-clicker, but is not an auto-clicker.
He just plays auto-clickers that are slightly more work. I have to like program my own clicker. So I'm a real gamer.
There's something else I want to talk about, but I will let you guys talk for a bit.
Corey, what are you up to?
Okay. So, first of all, Binding of Isaac, what a piece of shit game that is. Not letting me beat it.
Wow.
God, this fucking 2-character asshole is so hard to beat the game with. It's Binding of Isaac where you gotta keep 2 people alive at once. It's so hard. It's harder than the person that can't get hit. There's a person that has no life. You can't put life on it. There's no life on it. Have I said that enough? There's no life on it. If you get touched once, you die. You're 5 floors in, and you accidentally bumped into like a spiky wall or something. Oh, you're dead. That's it. Start over. That was your only chance. Good job. And this is harder than that, because you got to control 2 people. So like, oh, okay, the first couple levels, this is easy. I've got twice the DPS. I'm shooting people. That's fine. Oh, but then you start integrating in things like, there's a gravity well on the side of the room, and this person's getting pulled a little bit faster because they're closer. Or, oh, you're walking along and you step on a spider web, and one of you slows down, and now you're separated. And now you gotta, like, mash against the wall to try to get back together. And then, oh, look, an exploding shot, and you get shot to either end of the room, and you're trying to dodge enemies, but you move like this. So when you run away from one, they get closer to this one, and then they just turn around and attack it. So you're like trying to play with the AI and shoot back and forth. And
for the resident noob who doesn't know anything about games, but is still on a gaming podcast, you basically have a single stick that is controlling both of them.
Oh, it's not a
It's not like Ice
for two of
Climbers.
them?
It's not like
yeah,
It's not like this sticks that one, this sticks that one. It's not like Ice Climbers, like I control you and you
Yeah.
follow me. It's just like right, left.
Yeah.
Oh,
up,
that's
down,
so much
up,
more worse than what I
shit.
thought it was.
yeah. You have to keep them together. If you hold the control button, you can lock the second one and move the other one freely. But that means you have to hold your finger on control while moving this one around and shooting over here, which isn't. Yeah, it sucks. And on top of that, control is already bound to one function, which is if you hold it down for like 5 seconds, it drops the trinkets in your pocket. So if you want to like switch it out, or if you got
That's
two of them.
That is trolling. I refuse to believe the designer didn't understand that would happen.
Yes.
That's
so
trolling.
When you hold control to lock one in place, you have to do whatever you're trying to do faster than 5 seconds, or you'll drop your trinkets, and then you'll have to like walk over them and pick them back up. Or like, there's plenty of rooms that have lots of mazy, twisted corridors and spike traps on them, and I'm like, fuck bringing both of these through. I'm just going to take the one and move through the whole room with the one. Since there's no enemies, I just have to focus on traps. Well, if I do any section longer than 5 seconds, it'll drop the items, and then I have to wait a second, step off of them, step onto them, and then go back to what I'm doing. It's just a little frustrating since I'm already on edge from having to take care of 2 different characters.
Right.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of benefits to it. You can have 2 active items on at the same time, and you've got 2 people, so twice the firepower, and if you like beef them both up, they can get some ridiculous shit. Like, oh, I have Mom's knife, but then these are exploding shots, and those don't mix. Well, now you don't have to pass up items like that. You just give one set of items and one the other. So it also works out that way. Bad part is, you have your use item slot. Like, normally you can use pills and cards and things like that, runes, and that's your Q button. But when you're playing the double character, his active item is the Q button, and yours is still space. So what happens when you pick up a card? It automatically uses it. As soon as you step on a card, you pull it out and use it. That means you don't have any strategy for pills, runes, or cards. Additionally, there's special cards that have like a red background, kind of like solitaire instead of a tarot card, and they usually have, well, they're playing cards. They'll have like 2 of diamonds, 2 of spades, ace of diamonds, ace of spades, stuff like that. One of them is the Suicide King. When you pick it up, it kills you. So whenever you see one of those red cards, you can gamble and pick it up, and it might be something meh. I mean, it has a chance of teleporting you to the Devil Room where you can get some really nice items. But if it's a suicide one, you're dead. You don't get to pick it up and go, oh, that's a suicide one. Never mind. I don't have something that works with that. So that sucks. If you get pills that do like damage whenever you eat them, that sucks. You got to remember that because you're not going to be able to pick it up next time and go, oh, that was a bad one. So, shit. So it's really fucking hard. You can't accidentally pick up some things. You have to control 2 different characters at once. You can't bring items from one area to another because you instantly use them. And did I mention it's the Binding of Isaac? So it's already pretty fucking hard. It's been rough. Just saying, it's been rough. But
Just like Binding of Escort Quest. Except it's not bad AI. You're the bad AI. You're stuck being both dumb people, basically.
Thankfully, the person that programmed the 2 character thing made it so that the speed stat is shared between them. So whenever you get a speed up on something, it's for both of them.
Oh.
That doesn't apply to a couple things. Yeah. It doesn't apply to a couple things where, like, if you're invincible, you go really fast. Oftentimes, if you use one of those cards or something like that. So if one of them just starts taking off and trailing the other one, that can kind of suck. You have to play against that. There's a couple items that you just don't want to touch because you don't want to have to deal with 2 players having to, like, dodge exploding shots or something like that. But, yeah, it's rough. I think I'm going to try to stream some of it on our channel this week. I want to get back into the habit of streaming things, and that's something I could just pop open and stream really quick and play like 1 run a night and start cataloging that, because I really do want to get back into, regular streams. Which will also bring me to my second point, Path of Exile. Still been playing that. Having ultitis, I made like 3 characters over the past week, and I know I'm dumb. I just got 1 character to the 3rd playthrough for the first time, level 60. And then I was just like, now I want to make all these other characters. I didn't go for my ultitis. I just like compressed it down and was like, all these things I want to do. Hey, I hit 60. Which is fine. It's okay. But the problem is that in 2 weeks, they won't exist anymore because the new expansion's coming out.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
excited.
Yep. So in 2 weeks, the Legacy League will be over. We'll start the new one with the 10 acts in it. We'll have to make new characters, and I don't even know what I'm gonna have to like see what changes they make to the skill tree. Yeah. They might do an overhaul of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how much they're changing besides the acts, or if it's gonna be just the acts and nothing else. I'd be surprised. They're hyping this up quite a bit.
Yeah,
I haven't read anything on this. If you haven't noticed,
have they? Well, I guess then you wouldn't know. But I didn't see if they were going to remove the map system, so I think that's still going to be the in-game content.
Yeah, they'd have to leave that in or replace it with something a lot better because people like the map system.
Yeah, it seems perfectly fine to me. I think it is a big standard because I think that's exactly how most different. Well, it makes sense because that's all you're really going to do anyway. At the end, is just random generate levels to go through.
Yeah, I was going to say you farm randomly generated items that you randomly generate levels to go in to farm randomly generated items.
That also drop maps.
Yes, it's basically inceptioning itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're gonna play Path of Exile in Path of Exile.
So I would probably not suggest that you jump into Path of Exile right this instant, but I'd say wait 2 weeks. See whenever it's coming out. Yeah. Let's see. What's the actual release date on this Path of Exile?
I should jump into that. I got a new job here. I got a new job, and I either start the week after, but I have an interview for another job that I really, really want, and if that goes through, I may have a bit more time on my hands. So that one's part-time, but it pays more, and it's a job that I actually want to do. So I can ride my bike to it, so I'm like, hell yeah.
Win.
Say what?
Win.
I have an interview this Friday.
So it's W-I-N, not W-H-E-N, but that's all.
Oh.
Oh, you
like
homo nim.
Win.
Homonym. When is Path of Exile new release thing?
I can't find it.
Oh.
Let me use the Google's Path of Exile
Manifesto.
3.5. State.
I can't find it, but if I were to guess, it said 2 weeks. So probably on the 10th of June, I would bet. Look how prepared we are. Computer screens.
June, July 2017.
July, yeah.
Wow.
July?
June.
Well, June or July is what I found.
Yeah.
I think this is old. Gotta be a more accurate date now.
I know, it's like 2 days from like the start of that.
June to July. June to July. It's either next month or a month later.
Yeah, the last one I could see, or the earliest date I could see is May 10th. And I'm sorry, the most recent update was on May 10th, and it still says June or July. So,
I swear there was...
So
either Thursday or a month plus Thursday. Yeah.
Or somewhere in between. Just get Trent on Skype message and ask him. He probably knows.
No, that'll mess
but
up.
I'm lazy.
Mess up Skype.
on Steam
And
message,
that'd be
but
the worst.
Steam's on fire.
Fall of Aura is an upcoming 6 expansion. Blah, blah, blah. Will enter beta phase before being fully released in July. Yeah.
Has it entered beta
all.
release yet?
Well, it's beta. It was supposed to be last month or this month, so I assume it has. So informed.
Yeah,
Anything else
so
you've been up to,
whatever I
Corey?
said, just
Yes.
I didn't find anything else, so you'll just have to trust me when I say that's how it is. I could probably try to open up a game that might have been where I've seen it, but I don't know.
It'll come out soon, TM.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, though, what I want you viewers to do is leave a comment down in the comment section telling me what game I should get, Dead Cells or Hollow Knight, because I still can't decide. One of them is a crafted game experience. Hollow Knight is more like a standard Metroidvania. You go through, it's apparently a brilliant game with lots of different pathways and cool ways to play. Sounds fantastic. Dead Cells is more of a roguelike game that rebuilds each time you play it. You advance a little further, and it seems to have more replayability, but since it is a roguelike, it doesn't have that same polish. So leave your comments down below and force my wallet towards one or the other. And then take a shot. Because when I come back next week, no one will leave a comment.
Aww.
It's true.
Or if you're listening
Maybe my mom will.
If you're listening to the audio version, go to youtube.com and search for the Secret Cow Level Podcast, because we don't have our own URL yet. And then click
Or everyone can just all go to the same place on our Facebook page, which is designed for people to talk to each other on instead of just being tacked on.
Facebook.com actually, I don't think the Facebook group is that. So you either have like a page dedicated to like you, or then you have like a group dedicated to. So the difference is that what we have, a page is what we have. We're like, hey, this is our thing.
People can post on it though. We're public, right? They can post on our page. They can't be like a member of our page though.
Is that how it works? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can go like post things on like McDonald's Facebook or shit like that, can't you? I don't know. I don't do things.
I don't know. We should. Anyway, go to our Facebook group page anyway and attempt to comment.
Go to our Facebook page and tell us how it works.
Facebook.com/The Secret Cow Level Podcast.
And leave us a tweet on Tumblr so we can snail mail you back.
Ow.
We'll Instagram our food and send it straight to you. That's all we know how to do.
Derek, what have you been up to?
Well, currently, I am trying to post something on our Facebook page.
If we go to the page, it says to write something. We're going to put... tell me which to buy. And let's make a poll. Look at this interaction we get to do. Tagbot, check in. Wait, how do I do the poll?
To our audio viewers, Corey is currently on the Facebook page. She's creating a poll, asking us what game she wants to play. She looks confused.
I'm notating.
Oh.
I am. I don't know how to post a poll. I know it's possible to make a poll. I could do that from my profile. Why can't I do that?
Oh, that's how it works. So,
wait.
I changed from myself. I changed from Secret Cow Level to myself, so I was actually me, not us, because I have to do that on Facebook. And I posted a thing, and it pops up as a notification. But that's kind of lame because only we see that. You all can't like talk to each other, so that would be a weird.
Right. So.
You can see you can see the notification I made, right? Like that exists for you too. Okay, cool.
I can see it.
Okay, so that's how it works. You can't see each other, but we can see you.
Oh, well, that's. I wonder if we could change it
when
to
when we have more than 3 viewers, we'll make a group. Okay.
more than 3 viewers.
Like,
All right, so let's schedule
I
this.
think we're a little ahead of the game here.
7:50 p.m. We're gonna schedule that publication. We're gonna see that post. Look at that post. We're gonna add a poll. Can we add a poll? What are you doing? Why are you maximizing? What? I didn't tell you to. Went to edit post. Yes.
Meanwhile,
This is
I'll babble
fascinating
about the
radio.
random shit that I've done. Let's see. For the one viewer out there who, this is probably a huge overestimation, but the one viewer out there, the like 0.2 viewers out there who actually play Summoner's War, about a week and a half ago, I finally got my first Nat 5-star, which you can tell these two don't play.
I assume that means
like,
you.
holy shit!
I assume that means you
Yeah,
opened one without upgrading to 5.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Okay, really short, really ultra short version. Monsters have a grade that's 1 star to 5 stars.
Right.
Or okay. All monsters have a grade that is 1 to 6 stars. They have a natural grade though, which is where they start. It's their base.
Oh.
A natural 3-star is total shit like in base stats compared to a natural 5-star. And in general, natural 5-stars have way cooler abilities as well. Also, when you open a mystical scroll, which is pretty much the standard kind of scroll, you get a 3, 4, or 5-star. You get a 3-star roughly 90.1% of the time. You get a nat 4-star 0.8% of the time, or that's like 7.8% of the time, and whatever the rest of the percentages are, 1 point something,
Right.
is like at most, I think it might be like less than 1%, is the chances of getting a nat 1. I think it's like 0.8% of the time you get a nat 5-star. So basically, you open 1,000, or you open 100 scrolls, and you still probably won't get one, on average. They're really good, they're cool, and basically I won the not a total noob anymore lottery. Again, for the 0.2 people out there who actually play Summoner's War, my first Nat 5-star was Sekhmet, the Fire Desert Queen, who is in fact named after the Egyptian goddess, or at least the feminine aspect of an Egyptian deity, because Egyptian deities are weird. They have multiple aspects.
Yeah.
I think that might be the feminine aspect of one of the dudes. Who knows? Egyptians are weird. But yes, got that. Yay, awesome. Finally. And I'm still playing a whole shitload of Summoner's War. And by playing, I mean it's running like next to me while I watch stuff on Netflix. Because it is also one of those games that basically play themselves. Well, you'd like this. You don't have to do a lot of anything other than be lucky and push the button.
Be lucky.
Yeah. The reason our guild is called Never Lucky, because accurate. But yeah, speaking of what I do while I'm not really playing Summoner's War, watching random shit on Netflix. First, recently started watching MacGyver with my girlfriend.
Yes.
First time she's watched it. First time I've watched it, not under the influence of recreational substances. Interesting new experiences. Corey and I used to live together. We watched MacGyver together.
Yeah.
In similar states of mind. Yes.
It's a
Great show, especially
It's so good.
From pharmaceuticals. But yes, that's fun. Also been watching a lot of original Trek. And
if they made a Baywatch movie if they made a MacGyver movie like the Baywatch one coming out, I would love that. If it was But who would you get to do it though?
I don't know.
Who would be MacGyver?
I don't know. Like is what's his name still like alive? Like he did
MacGyver?
Stargate for
Yeah,
like
he did
37
Stargate.
years.
He should. Well,
Yeah.
unless he turned into like Harrison Ford. Ooh, that was hard to remember. And like just got old and decrepit.
Well, whenever they suddenly stop having a like $1,000 an hour makeup artist, they seem to age really quickly.
But what about Patrick Stewart and Sean Connery?
Sean Connery retired a while back and has not made any public appearances since then. I'm guessing he basically actually started aging and is like, oh shit, I gotta hide. Or he's actually immortal and people would start realizing he won't age ever. Whereas Patrick Stewart is either like drinking the blood of infants on a morning basis, or is actually immortal and doesn't give a shit, and presumably the rest of the immortal community will totally like kill him eventually because he's given away all their secrets. Who knows?
I wonder if maybe he could have capped out. I don't know. For all we know,
he's at max level.
Yeah.
Max level.
I think he had a little bit of power leveling along the way. I'm gonna say he had a pretty good guild for a while there in the late 80s, back in the 90s and late 80s.
I don't think it's possible for us to make a poll. Apparently, Facebook decided that nobody gets to do polls anymore. Polls are right out.
Oh,
You have to have a third-party program for polling.
I'll fuck with it later on. So, speaking of the original series, actually not speaking of the original series at all. Speaking of Voyager,
I was speaking of the original series. I was going to say original series, which is great, except when it's not, and then it is impressively not.
Oh yeah.
Corey, have you watched any original series?
No.
Okay.
Not
you
like
should.
Outside of like GIFs on the internet of.
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone's aware of it. I was aware of it for many years, even before I watched like TNG for the first time, which was embarrassingly recent. Not like this year, but it was within the past handful of years that I first watched Trek.
Yeah.
All of Trek is worth watching, including Enterprise. Shut up.
Oh, I thought you were going to say including Voyager, and I was like,
Fuck you, I like Voyager. It's got a shitty part in the middle, but name me any Trek series that doesn't have a shitty part.
So I thought about this. Hold on. So when Next Generation has some bad episodes, but when they're bad, they're only boring. It's just like, oh, okay, like nothing's really going on. Okay, whatever.
My entertainment is only not entertaining.
But when Voyager has a bad episode, that shit is like terrible. Like the one episode when Neelix got his lungs teleported out of his body. And the doctor was like, I'm going to make you some holographic lungs, but you can't move a nanometer. It's like, okay. So, there's so many things that are just bad about that entire, like, situation. And there are some other episodes, too, where it's just like, it's just bad. And at worst, original series gets a pass because it's from like the 60s and there was a special time back in the day.
That later.
But if you look at even Enterprise, I thought most Enterprise was boring, but I didn't think it was bad. Like Voyager there are so many things about Voyager that are just outright bad in the writing, mostly in the writing.
Can you expand your vocabulary to enlighten us as to what bad is? What can you describe that? Like, is it the cinematography? Is there plot holes? Is it that?
There are a few exceptionally stupid episodes of Voyager. That said, there are a few exceptionally stupid episodes of every series. So actually, weirdly, Enterprise, the one that everyone hates the most, I can only think of one episode that pissed me off because it was just dumb. That said, they got cut off at 4 seasons, so there's
Yeah.
half as much of it. So that's probably the way up. But
So
I will say my favorite character from any Trek series ever, even more than Spock, very slightly, is from Enterprise, and that's Commander Shran. He is the best, the best.
I have to rewatch Enterprise.
You do.
So Voyager's most of the badness comes from Voyager's writing. I explained this to a friend a couple days ago. So you've got Voyager; they're lost in the Delta Quadrant, and they can. At this point, you can do anything you want. You can create any races and anything you want.
Boldly gone where no one has gone
Right,
before.
and so
No one knows where the f- they are. They're lost.
And so here's the original conceit of Voyager. Voyager is flung into space. There's the Maquis who wanted to overthrow the Federation, but now they all have to share the same starship trapped in the Delta Quadrant. So there, you've got some kind of conflict. You've got something to go off of, which is really, really cool, but that immediately falls apart through season 1, and it's just tossed aside, and everyone's all hunky-dory, happy to be together family. Like, just
Address it a few. Honestly, if anything, they spend season 1 on that and then get over it.
well, that's
If they spent 7 seasons on that, you'd be fucking tired of it.
well, you're not wrong, but I think they didn't spend enough time on it. Is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, there's a few episodes, but they made it seem like a big deal in like the first 2 episodes, and then it's like, whatever. Secondly, they were intent on saying we're lost in space and we only have X amount of resources, and that gets thrown by the wayside too. It's like, oh, we have infinite photon torpedoes and infinite energy to do whatever the hell we want. The ship has plot armor and we can do whatever we want. So that's another knock against it.
Didn't it basically get destroyed and then they rebuilt it?
Say what?
I'm pretty sure it basically got almost totally destroyed and they rebuilt most of the damn thing.
Yeah,
So I think they probably restocked a little bit there.
That's another issue I have. So let's say season 1, you have Voyager, and then toward the season 7, it's some like Frankensteinian spaceship with like parts that they've borrowed and put together because they've had to repair the ship.
Are you about to Ship of Thieves me?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, never mind. I guess you're not.
It's not Voyager anymore if the pieces aren't all the
I
same.
hate that
Comes
stupid.
back.
I hate that stupid, like, philosophical metaphor. Yes, it's the same ship. We
Oh.
imbue it with meaning.
But
We
no,
replace our own parts constantly. We are the Ship of Thieves.
but
Yeah.
Calm your tits.
But if Voyager like got back to the Alpha Quadrant with like just like it was a Frankensteinian ship where they had to repair and different things like that, that would have been cool. But they didn't. There's so many good things that so many. So Year of Hell. This is the one thing. Was probably the best 2-part series. So, long story short, Voyager is going through a sector of space, and this other race
By
is like,
long story short, he means spoilers.
Yeah. It's been out forever. You might as
yeah.
well go ahead.
So they go through the sector of space, and this
Alright.
race is like, hey, don't go through the space. And Janeway's like, fuck you, that's going to add 1 million years to our already million-year plan. So she goes through.
Gotta get home.
Right. So this other guy, same kind of race of aliens, has this giant time gun, and he's rearranging time because something happened where most of the race got destroyed, and so he's rearranging time to go ahead and try to keep that from happening, right? So Voyager finds a way to remove themselves from the timeline so that they don't get affected by his changes. Of course, since they're not affected by the changes, he can't get what he wants. So he's like, fuck you, Voyager, I'm going to erase you from time. So it's this entire 2-part episode. It's really, really good. It's really, really cool. But then they pull some. So they're getting their ass kicked by the giant ass time gun ship, right? And Janeway's like, okay, fuck this shit. I'm gonna ram Voyager into it. Tuvok's like, Captain, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. She's like, fuck you. Crashes into the giant gunship. It explodes, rewinds time back to the point in which they decided to go to the sector. And then the race is like, hey, don't come through our sector.
Punched them back in time.
Yeah, so the race is like, don't come to this sector. She's like, maybe I
silly.
shouldn't come to this sector. And they go around it, and it's over. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, there was this awesome 2-part episode that you had so much to do, and you just fucking time wheeled it out of existence. It's stupid.
They did do the equivalent of the "and it was all a dream" thing, which I hate. It's one of my least favorite things ever. Actually, it's one of my most hated things ever. Hang on, I'm a blurry.
Yeah, I was literally about to say the same thing. Like, oh, it's like any sitcom where they actually have character development and things change, and then at the end of the episode, you're sad to find out that it was all a dream.
Yeah. And
they did all a dream it, except it was in plot. She all a dreamed herself, so I was a little bit better with it. Mostly, I just rolled with it. I was annoyed though.
But
I will admit.
So the one thing that makes Voyager watchable is if you watch the Fast and the Furious movie, and they take a car and they skydive it off of a plane, and it goes into a building, and they're driving to the building, and then they jump off and go onto the highway, and they're driving. You just have to say, sure, fine, like, okay, that is apparently a thing in this universe. Like with Voyager, she time punches everyone back to the past. You're like, sure, fine, that is a thing.
She did blow up a giant reality rewriting machine. I mean,
or
the fact that it rewrote reality correctly is a little bit of a stretch, but it rewrote reality when it blew up. It blew up full of time.
Or Species 8479 is more powerful than the Borg. Like, sure, fine. Or the fact that the Borg Queen is some maniacal...
Species 8479 is way, way more interesting than the Borg. I have been bored as shit during every Borg episode in every series. Because that's the bad part of TNG, and I will say it over and over again. That's the boring as shit middle part of TNG. It's like, we're going to deal with the Borg. No.
What about the episode where they capture one of them and they teach it to be, somewhat independent and send it back?
You mean the 7 of 9 show? Or is that...
No,
that's right.
In TNG, I forgot what he named himself. He named himself something, but
I totally forgot that happened.
That was cool. It was good.
Yeah,
that was one of the few good things they did with the Borg. 7 and 9 being the other good thing, even without the awesome tits. She was still a good character.
Yeah.
I like 7 and 9 as a character.
There was an episode. There was an episode. It was okay. It was another bad episode where they're going through space and some race is like, we see you have photonic life, give it up. And they're like, why? I'm like, oh, well, they destroyed our ship or something, whatever. Anyway, so it's 7, the Doctor, and one of the engineers, I can't remember. Not Paris, the other one who's forgettable. Anyway, it was him.
Lana Torres?
No, the other forgettable one.
Oh, the Asian dude.
Yeah, the Asian dude.
Racist.
So anyway, so they're on the Delta Flyer, and this race is like, hey, you have this photonic life on it, give it up. And they're like, no. So 7 plot thing, so she puts the Doctor's holographic program into her cortical cortex to hide it, right? But then, the Doctor can then take over 7 of 9 and push her to the background, and now so the Doctor is in control of 7. And so now you have Jerry Ryan playing 7 of 9, playing the Doctor in 7 of 9's body, and it's fantastic. It is probably probably the best acting on that show in that episode.
Okay. I'm gonna say one thing. They do the body swapped mind takeover stuck in your body thing at least twice a series.
Yes.
It's almost always good. And this was possibly one of the best ones, yes.
Yeah. The episode is stupid. It's Harry, that's his name.
Harry. Yes.
Yes, Harry's there and he's being stupid. Chakotay's going through his 7-year puberty, and then he tries to go on the holodeck to try to get himself off, and then the race comes by and stop jacking off to photonic porn. It's so it's really stupid. But But
All right, so I've let Mo have his fun for a bit. I'm gonna come in now. 1.
Giggity.
1. Voyager's entirely... Every single series of Trek is entirely worth watching. I'll even say about the one they haven't released yet. It's coming out on ABC something in like a month or so, and
that's
may be
right.
horrible. Discovery, I think is what it's called. God, I'm hopeful, but I can't say I'm optimistic. Anyway, every series of Trek is worth watching. All of them. Voyager is a shit ton of fun. Has lots of good characters. It is at least as good as DS9. I will say that straight up, very easily. I like DS9 a lot. A lot of people hate DS9. They also hate on Voyager. I like them both a lot. They're very different. Every series is really different. Like TNG is updated original Trek. Like it's just boldly go new, planet of the week Trek until it becomes the Borg for a season and a half, and I drool on myself, but at least it's well acted and stuff. So whatever, I'll deal with it. Almost every series has a stint of boredom with the Borg, but I'm gonna skip over Voyager, which is Mo's most hated on. I'm gonna go to the people's most hated on, which is Enterprise. I don't know why Enterprise gets so much shit. Like I know, like every single geek's favorite thing is to argue over which Trek is best. It's a lot of fun, obviously. We're doing it right now because it's shitloads of fun. But everyone gets together and just like gathers in a circle around Enterprise and just kicks it in the fucking ribs. Like, yeah, fuck Enterprise. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? It was a good damn series.
I think the only knock I had against it was I was bored. Like,
did you watch all of it? Because it started out a little kind of wobbly, but it was fun.
I think
and it had its own
that's the problem was because it was the first.
They got into the time.
See, that's what I hear people say.
The problem is the first season is bad. The first season of TNG is utter absolute trash.
No, I totally agree. But
it's fun.
That was like around the time when I finally saw it. That's when like Netflix was coming out, and I was like, look at all this other stuff I could be watching and not be bored by Enterprise. So I think that's what happens. Other things got in the way.
At minimum. First of all, it's interesting because it is the prequel to all Trek, even original Trek. It's the prequel to the entire universe, basically. It's basically when Earth stops being just Earth and is trying to be the Federation. The Federation doesn't fucking exist yet. And that's where you're at. So that's fun to begin with. There's plenty of, like, at minimum, pleasant gimmicks there. Secondly, I would say it's the only series with an equal amount of beefcake and cheesecake. Every time there is a chick in her underwear getting like
misty showered or whatever it was.
Yeah, the hang on, girlfriend's yelling at me. What do they call it in the episode? Decontaminated. That's what it is. Decontaminated, i.e., the strip down and hang out in the blue room scene, which they have like every other episode, which is great. Every time there is fucking T'Pol being hot as shit, or I've forgotten the communications officer, the linguist. Hold on. Sato. T'Pol or Sato being fucking hot as shit. There's also at least one dude down to his skivvies right there with him. It is equal representation of butts, and that is the only series that does it. There's also a lot more butts.
But you're telling me that this is in the infancy of the Federation, so I'm going to assume there's no alien butt.
There's less alien butt, at least at first, actually, as it goes on. So
there's something to watch.
Okay, well, assuming you don't consider Vulcans aliens, because they're space elves, and that's, I mean...
Yeah.
Like if you get the psychological part into your attraction, then into the fetishizing, then it includes. If it's just physical, then it's a really attractive woman with pointy ears. But on the crew, other than T'Pol, who is a Vulcan, there is one real alien who is the Doctor. But he's fairly alien. He's great. I love the Doctor in this. I love the Doctor in every fucking series. The Doctor's always great.
Yeah, I can't think of a Doctor that I didn't like in any series.
Yeah. Even in DS9, what's his name? He was really annoying at first, but then I started loving him.
Bashir.
Bashir.
Yes, Bashir. Bashir was fan-fucking-tastic after a handful of seasons.
Well, it's after I started cosplaying with O'Brien and going into the Hollow Suites all the time where I really started to like
O'Brien being nerd bros.
Yes.
Is the best thing ever.
Well, because it's like up to that point, he was
fucking
basically an Ivy League jock kind of person
Yes,
who was a womanizer. And then after he and O'Brien had their little like argument, and then they decided to be bros, like that entire character just went out the fucking window, and it's like a different person came in. I don't understand it.
It didn't feel that bad to me because to me it felt like he stopped pretending to be like he sort of took down his outer because he seemed like the kind of person who was acting a lot for outward appearance, like trying to be the person he wanted to be or thought people wanted him to be, and he sort of stopped and started being himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I took it. It was a little bit of a sudden drop, but actually,
Yeah.
As my girlfriend just pointed out, weirdly, only Doctor I wasn't all that big on, TNG, Beverly Crusher.
Beverly Crusher.
Really, not a lot going on there. Like she,
Doesn't
at best, I was sitting there going, "You could have been so much a better character than you were." And at worst, I was like, "What the fuck, Beverly? What the fuck, Beverly?" I did that at least 3 episodes. Just like, I don't fucking know, Beverly, but what the fuck?
Well, in all honesty, every Star Trek makes me go, why is this a problem? Because usually it's some really convoluted, twisted bullshit. Everything is a fucking ionized radiation cloud. Every goddamn square inch of the universe is an ionized radiation cloud. Can we scan it? No, sir. There's an ionizing radiation cloud. Can we transport to them? No, there is an ionizing radiation cloud. Damn it!
No,
fire the photon torpedoes. No, we can't lock on.
The radiation cloud. You might end up in an alternate universe. We could do it anyway, though. Like ionizing radiation clouds are just like clouds of plot. Did you just say, like, there's a plot cloud over there, sir? Should we enter it? I don't know. Yeah, let's go in.
Well, let's go in with limited contact. Should we tell anyone? We might get in trouble. Let's not do it. Oh no, we're trapped on the planet because of X. All right. Oh, and then now we either don't hear from those characters for a while, then someone has to go do a fucking tracing mission, and then they can't find them because ionized radiation cloud. So they have to go down to the planet every single time. It's just, there's always got to be some stupid shit, and then you just have to look at the characters and go in the first 10 minutes, why is this a problem? Why haven't, well, like, okay, this person's having a problem with a lung. Okay, you can 3D replicate everything. You can literally just make anything, and you can't just make a lung? Like, how have we not gotten to that point yet?
They're occasionally just like, we have all this technology, and it's great, except when we need the plot to have it not be there. Like, that's what I'm going to get to, because we could spend 35 hours on this. Voyager's better than Mo says. As usual, Mo is only half right. Everyone in the world is wrong about Enterprise. Watch it. It's just really good. And if anything, Commander Shran will make it worth 3 seasons, because they killed the damn thing after 3 or 4 fucking seasons. So that's there. Your price for admission is at least met by Commander Shran. My original point, original Trek. Mo made a comment, it gets a free pass. Like, okay, it's a free pass on some of it. It's only got 3 seasons, which is kind of sucks. But there are a few episodes, at least 3 episodes, where I'm just like, what the actual fuck is going on right now? Are you fucking serious? Some, like, out of my fucking drug-addled mind bullshit going on. It starts around, like, toward the last third of season 2. They start doing some stupid shit. Almost all of them revolve around this weird-ass thing that they came up with where they just like plotted it into the sci-fi, where it's like, oh, like they have Spock quote at one point the theory of convergent social evolution, which is an excuse for them to write planets that are portions of Earth history that are slightly different. Basically, just it's an altered history planet. There's so many times. There's this fucking like Roman planet. It's like, yes, they followed the entire path of Earth history, except they diverged this one point, and it was so everything else matches so well. They're all exactly like ancient Rome, except they're modern day, and they're speaking English for some reason. But we're gonna brush off that. And so that every time
you never explain that.
I know. I give every sci-fi series a free pass on that, just because I don't want to read subtitles. Well, because that's the alternative. Is me
until you hit that one really good TNG episode with the people that speak in metaphors.
Oh yeah.
Which Darmak and Tanagra at Jalad.
Yeah.
Or Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra. Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also
it was
the call when the walls fell.
Yeah.
Yeah. That episode really good. And it all hinged on the stupid plot point that somehow the universal translator doesn't handle metaphors well. Why? It could pick up on everything else from weird clicks and sklorps and stuff and make a language out of it.
I mean, the universal translator is a lot better than probable, than it really could be. But on that episode, at least, now that I've accepted that basically everyone talks roughly like Earth people talk, just in a different language, these folk, where it's an entire race of people who are basically on the autistic spectrum, they speak entirely in scripts, which I found really amazing. A lot of people don't realize like that's actually a thing for actual human people. They basically do that. It's called scripting, and I found it amazing. And a whole race of people who do that, and they wove it in so well. And everyone who's seen that series would be like, they can start quoting lines from it, and people know what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah. And I'm like, that works. Language is weird. But in the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's weird and fucking, I don't know, like, I'm gonna go figure out. I'm gonna find what the episode is, and I'll have Mo put it in the something. I'm putting on Mo, so I can blame him when it doesn't happen. But there's an episode, like roughly 3/4 of the way through season 2, that is just off the fucking rails. It is MST3K worthy. Like, it's right there. With like the stupidest shit you see in the movies that they play on MST3K, where you're like, how could anyone actually make this movie on purpose?
Yeah.
This has to be fake. It can't actually be that bad on accident. This had to be crafted to be as bad as possible. And you're like, but it's so bad. And it's that, but with Shatner right in the middle of it. It's amazingly fucking ridiculous, and I probably will refuse to ever watch it again sober, because that is.
I know what we're doing on the live stream for 1UP. We're gonna force you to get drunk and watch this Star Trek episode.
Oh Jesus! There'll be things happen off screen before I drink.
Speaking of 1UP,
welcome for that segue.
Oh crap! Hold on. Please don't open this window. Please don't open this window. Please don't open it. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, the stream didn't crash. Or if it did, no one heard me.
We have dates that I have to look up really quick. Okay. October 20th through the 22nd. That is the weekend we are planning on. We are unsure if we're doing Friday to Saturday or if we're doing Saturday to Sunday, because remember, we're dividing it into 2 12-hour blocks because it is a trash fire after hour 7 and nobody wants to see that. So, that's the way we're going to do it. So block out that weekend. We are coming up with some donation incentives. Um, what were one of the incentives? Let's back up a bit. So we're gonna play a Flash D&D campaign ran with Corey and three or four other people. I don't think we've gone that far yet. We're gonna come up with some donation incentives on that. Um, we're doing kind of a mix of board games and video games this go round. So we're gonna be playing a bit more games like what's the game that I always fucking ad lib? Signals of the Multiverse.
Damn it! Yes, you got it right this time.
Yeah.
Signals of the Multiverse. We're throwing around some ideas on having you throw in donations to choose which bad guy we're gonna go up against. Also, there's Werewolf. What's the board game where you create the house and there's a betrayer at House on the Hill? There we go.
Oh.
That one, yeah,
Mhm.
Betrayer House on the Hill. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that game, Mo.
Um, so we got a bunch of board games in addition to all some returning favorites. I'm sure we'll be playing Super Mario Maker again, and some other favorites we've played for the past couple years as well.
And D&D.
Yes,
Yeah, we already said that.
you already said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You skimmed over it. That's like the biggest thing for me. I
Well,
got, like, Dungeons
Well, I mentioned we were
Dungeons
playing.
and Dragons.
I mentioned we were playing it. We're playing.
I was finding that episode number of Trek, okay? And you gave it a lot less emphasis than I would have, so I didn't notice. Fucking Dungeons and Durgans.
We'll be doing a 5th edition single shot campaign where we're going to have donation incentives which affect part of the campaign, not only the character creation, but in how some of it plays out. So we'll just keep that in mind. We'll go over the details because I have to somehow talk to them about these without giving up my story because I still want that to be a surprise.
Yep,
So
Yeah.
that'll be a little bit difficult, but we'll hammer it out for sure.
we'll figure it out. A bunch of people are coming back. Zane's going to be back for the third year. Zane and Toby. I believe Toby's going to bring his VR headset again. I do want to play Artemis again. We didn't play it last year because of complications.
Yes.
But
and we
this
didn't get it on stream first year.
Yeah, we did.
Because tech. Did that actually make it onto the video?
Yeah,
I thought that got lost. I thought that was part of it. Okay.
No, I got that. It was Mario Maker,
Oh.
and someone set us up the bomb. What is it that game called?
Keep talking. Oh. God. At least there's that one. He used all of his remembering game names on the other two.
Just keep talking and no one blows up or something.
Keep talking and no one explodes.
Okay, no one explodes.
It's one of those two.
Someone set us up the bomb.
Keep it's you and no one set us up the bomb.
Oh my god!
So, cats, where are all the bases?
Oh my god! I can't breathe. Ooh. So yeah, we'll play that game as well.
Yes, Artemis Space Bridge. Wreck the fuck out of it. Return of the USS Penetration.
Was that what it was called? I thought it was USS
Yes,
Hot
it was the
Pants or
USS
something
No,
gay
it was
like
the USS
that.
Penetration. It was the USS Penetration.
Boldly going and coming.
Boldly
and
going where at least 7 or 8 people have been before this one.
So both Corey and Derek will probably be. That was probably the wrong direction I pointed on stream. Whatever.
Yeah.
Both Corey and Derek will be the MC. They're going to be on camera doing most of the things. I'm taking more of a production role to make sure that things go
Don't
well.
play any games.
That because we've had technical difficulties 2 years in a row, and that's because I was trying to both play and hope that the stream didn't crash or record everything, and obviously none of that happened. So I'm going to be more in the background.
Well, these ones let you watch Mo fail at something.
So I'm going to be
It'll happen at least.
mostly in the background interacting with Twitch chat and making sure the video quality is fine and making sure there's nice transitions and things like that. I am going to throw in some money because I want to get personal microphones, like wireless mics for each person, like when we're doing the D&D campaign, if we're doing board games, because the audio quality in general is better than trying to record it from one mic and things like that. And so I'm going to be investing some money in some equipment to really increase the production value this year. So keep your calendars marked October 20th through the 22nd. We'll let you know if it's Friday to Saturday or if it's Saturday to Sunday. All right, that's a good place to stop. Do you guys have anything else you want to plug or say before we close out?
Just that Mo's wrong about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's.
Hit our Facebook page up and just tell me what game to buy. Dead Cells, Hollow Knight. Tell me, please.
Also, tell us how to Facebook.
Tell us how to do a poll. I think we have to be a group, which we're not. So I'll have to figure that shit out later on when I'm not working.
If enough of you tell us that you exist, we'll be a group. Because right now I'm like, I don't want to make a group so I can see all three of you talking to each other about how lame we are.
Oh. Well, I think that'll be part of my community outreach with the regular streams. Maybe if we just have a regular presence, that might help.
Yeah.
Even not, I still want it to just play like a game or two a night, stream that and be fine. Something I can knock out in like
Within
a half
the next
hour.
month, I'll probably be moving, and that'll probably involve me being in something that looks more like Civilization and has slightly better internet, so I can probably stream more often too.
And
do you want to hang out with the human peoples? Are you sure?
They have my internets.
Holding them hostage, I see.
And since I'm changing jobs, I won't have an hour-and-a-half commute, which means we'll actually record repeatedly on the same day, so I won't be like ass fucking tired from driving 3 hours round trip for a job, and it means that I have more time to actually stream. So I'm gonna actually try to do that at some point in time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like a plan. All right, let's close this out. Go Team Venture! Oh.
Thank you for listening and watching to episode 46 of the Secret Caliber podcast. You guys have a nice night.
Bye, folks.
Bye.